He is the UFC heavyweight champion. He's had a hell of a year, and it turns out it'll probably be a hell of a 2019 as well. We're joined by the one and only DC Daniel Cormier. Mr. Cormier, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Luke. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you feeling?
I'm good, man. Just kind of, I'm at my anytime I'm in the wrestling room, I'm happy. I'm at Gilroy High School right now doing a private lesson with one of my kids that's returning from injury to try to get him up to speed. In these moments, I'm always happy, Luke.
Yeah. Could you live without coaching? I don't think you could.
No, I love it, man. I love trying to give back all that wrestling's given to me, and just being around kids and seeing. And I call kids, like from my 5-year-olds all the way to my high school seniors, So just giving back and being around the sport, that's what matters to me. I love doing it.
Now, you're the fighter of the year by anybody who's got half of a brain. It's been an unbelievable campaign for you. 2019 feels like it might be different for a lot of folks involved. Let's start with Saturday night. The main event, Jon Jones wins the title that you relinquished. I want to ask you about that in just a second. But first and foremost, Dana White said that you had texted him saying you thought he looked slow. Your assessment of Mr. Jones's performance and how he got it done.
Well, I mean, anytime you can go through a guy like Alexander Gustafsson in the fashion that he did is very impressive. I have never shied away from the fact that the guy's a phenomenal mixed martial artist, and I thought he fought well. I mean, I thought he fought well, fought exactly as he intended to, and was able to completely shut down Alex. So yeah, he did a good job.
Do you think he looks slow? And here's why I asked that. I didn't see that. But you and two other people inside MMA have, if you do believe that, certainly two other people I know whose opinion I respect, they told me the same thing. Do you think Jon looks slower?
I just think that he was never a guy that really wowed you with his speed, right? Some guys just have like blazing hand speed. Jones is always a bit of a tactician, a guy that just kind of breaks you down over the course of the fight, and so I didn't anticipate him being Anthony Johnson or freaking Yoel Romero or any of those guys that are just super crazy, explosive, and fast. But I thought, just in terms of the movement, I felt like it was more measured, and maybe that was the game plan. He made it seem as though he did exactly what he wanted. So maybe the measured pace was what they intended to do when they got into the octagon. So, but I think he's always kind of been a guy that isn't the fastest. And on Saturday, he didn't look like really fast.
Yeah, I suppose in the end he didn't need to be, but that's a separate question.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a question I keep getting asked, and I know you must be getting asked it, which is, if you believe, and I'm sure that you do, but if you believe that he has taken something either recently or at some point in his career, and you're trying to understand what benefit that confers upon him, where does his talent end and that begin in your mind?
Oh, I'm so uneducated to that part of athletics that it's hard for me to determine that. If you're asking me if I feel Jon Jones would have won a UFC title without any of these things, I do 100% believe he would have won a UFC title. I think that he's a very talented guy. He comes from the sport of wrestling, so he has that baseline for dictating where fights take place. With that being said, those things are done for a reason. Right? You don't have all these issues with the testing unless you have either doubts or something in your preparation or over the course of your athletics career didn't truly add up. That's the only way you would get these types of things tied to your career. That's how I feel. But do I feel the guy would have been successful without it? Yes, I do. I think he would definitely have been a UFC champion. And even without all this stuff that's tied to the fights, I think he could have won those fights to me anyways. I mean, I think he's a very talented guy, and I still believe I can beat the guy, even though I've lost a couple times. But again, I think that's what makes me That's what makes me different, is that regardless of every time I walked on that mat against Cael Sanderson, losing every time, I still felt that every time I went out there, I felt this is the one I'm going to win. I never didn't give myself a chance. And that's how I feel with Jones.
Tactically, did you see anything? I mean, it's a very different fight with Gustafsson than it is with you. But tactically, did you see anything? You know what I mean? Like, did you see, there's things I can pick up on?
When we fight, we just kind of start fighting right away, right? The pace is like crazy high, and the activity's through the roof for both of us. And it just didn't seem that way with Gustafsson. It seemed like, he backed up, and he was kind of throwing things, but they were kind of like one thing at a time, whereas just the last fight, the first 20 seconds of the fight, dude came out and threw like a front kick, a high kick, threw like an elbow, and I threw an uppercut, and we're like in the clinch punch, and the mouthpiece flies out. That's all within the first 30 seconds of the fight. And we both had thrown probably 10 strikes. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I don't think him and Gustafsson hit that point till 2.5 minutes into the round. And I think maybe it's the range, because Alex is so tall, or it may have been respect, that he had for Alexander going into the fight. I don't know. But tactically, yeah, it's a little different. It's a little bit slower pace. The activity level wasn't as high as the fights have been whenever him and I have fought.
I saw the tweet you put out. I think it was an Instagram post as well, where you certainly made your feelings known about some of the various figures in anti-doping. Now, I have had what can be commonly understood as unorthodox views on anti-doping, but it seems like a lot of people, not merely you, have lost a little bit of faith in the mission. Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but now a week removed from the initial announcement or so, where the event was moved to accommodate this testing abnormality, how do you feel about anti-doping in MMA?
I think anytime you are trying to clean the sport up, it's a really good thing. And I swear, I know I may sound like a bit of Betty when it comes to USADA. It's because I've been in the USADA testing program for so long, and I hold this organization in such high regard that I just can't understand how things have changed in the way that it has. That's it. Like, for me, it's not even that I think drug testing is crazy and in the UFC and all this other stuff. Yeah, for practice. Yes. What? I'm sorry. I'm in the middle. They can't run. 2 days before the match. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of a interview.
It's okay.
The principal just walked into practice and like, we're gonna go run. I'm like, oh, Doc, are you kidding me? Hold on. Yeah, so I've been in this program for so long, and I've never had an issue. I've never had an issue with USADA, and I just don't understand how it can become so prevalent in mixed martial arts. I know there were people doing dirty things in the Olympics. I swear I do, but it just seems like it's so much more consistent in MMA. Maybe
did you
for more money, I guess.
Yeah, I asked you about it at UFC 230. How you see some people who sit on the sidelines for big portions of their career because the promotion and and them can't get along. But you have always gotten along. At least, I don't know if behind the scenes, but certainly in public, you and the UFC work pretty well hand in glove. And you had mentioned that in the last time this one went down, you tweeted about it and that you got an angry phone call. Did you get an angry phone call for that tweet?
No. I mean, people try to reach out to me and try to calm me down. But once I'm kind of going down a path, if I'm going down a hill, you're not going to really stop me. That's what makes me, right? Like, once I get going, there's no stopping me. Nobody's going to make me stop saying things about USADA or, Jones or Nowitzki or any of these other guys. Like, once I'm going, and it's just gonna go until I calm down. It's just the way it is, and I think they've done that. They kind of let me space, like Dana said Saturday. Guys on a rampage.
Now, there was this tweet you guys had back and forth. Jon was talking about some wrestling tournament, and you had implored him to not come, not because of any other reason other than to protect the kids. Just for my own edification's sake, what tournament is he referring to?
He's talking about a tournament that we're hosting at Gilroy High School. It's called the Garlic City Rumble, and but we've never hosted anything like this. So we've got the number 2 team in the entire country, Wyoming Seminary, coming from Pennsylvania to wrestle against Montini Catholic, who's Izzy Martinez's team. They're number 6 in the country, and then the Buchanan High School out of Fresno is number 8 in the country, and then my high school, Gilroy High School, is number 10 in the country. So we all got together, put our heads together, and we tried to start this format where we're taking some of the best teams in the country, bringing them to Gilroy, and we're wrestling dual matches. And so I guess Jon was like, "Can I go watch Izzy's team?" You know, and I think that was asked not in the most sincere of ways. It may have seemed polite, but it was to try to get a rise out of me.
Right, because if he was just coming anonymously, that'd be one thing.
Just showed up.
Yeah, but to declare it like, I'll see you at high noon is something different, right?
It's much different. And I think that for me personally, look, like, we've worked so hard. And not only just me, and it's me and Izzy and Troy Tirapelli and I can't remember the guy's name from the seminary. He's an unbelievable coach. Scott Green from Wyoming Seminary. We worked so hard to put this together to try to build wrestling in this area that I don't want this to turn into a whole bunch of people wait to see what's going to happen between me and Jon Jones. There's going to be 56 high school kids at some point stepping on the wrestling mat, and they should be the center and the focus of what's going on that night. And I don't want that to be interrupted by whatever happens between Jones and I. Or even if Jones and I are cordial and we stay away from each other, nobody knows what Rosendo Sanchez is going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what Brock Lesnar. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knows what he's going to do. You know, nobody knows what. Because again, you're coming into Gilroy, San Jose, where I live, and all my friends and coaches are from. Like, I don't know what nobody's going to do. And then it just takes away from what we're trying to do with these kids on the wrestling mat. Because I kind of feel, honestly, Luke, like sometimes that for as bad as the blood is between Jones and I, the people surrounding me, they sometimes take a harder stance than even I do.
I can certainly understand it. I know you're busy. Just a couple more questions for you. I'll let you get back to your duties there. So 2019 is weird, right? I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Someone asked Dana White about this. Maybe you know something different, Daniel. It feels to me like, yes, Brock is still in the USADA testing pool, but there's just no talk about him competing at all. And then here you are with Jon going back and forth saying our time will come. What's going to happen in 2019 if you really had to think about it now?
Man, I don't know. You know, I want to get, like I said, I've long intended to be done with this thing by the time I turn 40 years old. And I've had some things injury-wise that is really kind of holding me back right now. I would prefer to be getting ready to train right now and fight, but there are a couple things that have happened that I can't really get going like I want to. So it's kind of all still up in the air. Dana's hopeful. He's like, he can fight 3 more times. You're the man right now, And honestly, I could fight. I mean, I can still fight. It doesn't seem like I'm slowing down too much, So, I mean, hell, I became the heavyweight champion 6 months ago. It's like, it's not like I'm slowing down. So, we'll see what it is. I really do still intend to be done with this thing really soon. It's a personal decision that I made with my family, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, with the Lesnar thing, that's kind of still up in the air. I've gotten a lot of, you're willing to fight Jones, but you talk trash about Jones, but you're willing to fight Lesnar. Nobody knows what's in place in terms of drug testing between Brock Lesnar and I. These are all just general assumptions as to what is Brock Lesnar truly going through right now to try to be eligible to compete. We could be doing so many different things that people are unaware of. And if Brock Lesnar's clean on the day that we fight because of these things, then why can't I fight him? Or if he doesn't fight, then I'll fight Stipe Miocic. Like, I talked to the boss the other day, and he was talking to me about fights and Brock Lesnar and Jon Jones and everybody. And I said, if Lesnar doesn't go, I go Stipe has to be first. He deserves it. And I said it from the beginning. If it ain't Brock, I want to fight Stipe Miocic and give him what's rightfully his, a rematch for his title. He's going to get beat again, but at least he'll get a chance to fight for that belt again.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen in 2019. I'm not sure you or Dana really know either, and I don't mean that disparagingly. I mean, it's just so crazy. How could anybody pin it all down? Here's what I do know, Daniel.
Here's the real deal, Luke. Here's another thing. You know, we have to understand that history has shown that the guy that won that belt last weekend, there could be some issues arise because they always have. Right? I mean, Seriously. And I've been asking this, Luke. I've been asking this, and this is a true question. And maybe you guys got an answer to this when you talk to Jeff. So because he has this trace amount of whatever this is, Luke, and you tell me the best of your understanding.
Yep.
Going forward, will he be allowed to just always have this? That's my question. Because if he was able to fight last weekend, then why wouldn't he be able to fight in 6 months if it's the same stuff in his system? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he going to be just allowed to always have this? I don't understand. Like, that's one of my biggest wonders is, and if it's okay for him to always kind of have this trace amount of stuff in his body, what if other people have whatever that is, that turn the ball stuff, and it just stays? So can we go back now and say, Frank Mir, now you're allowed to just always have turn the ball? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand it because I'm very uneducated about illegal substances, but I just don't. So is he, to the best of your knowledge, is he just allowed to always have this now?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. Because the way the testing would work is every time he takes one of those tests, it wouldn't merely test for the long-term metabolite. It would test for that as well as all the other ones. And if only the long-term metabolite comes up, last week they said that's an irregularity. It's not a positive test. He didn't do anything wrong. So if that's the case, why would that change? Right? It's crazy.
Okay. Well, seems kind of messed up that he can have something that the rest of us can't have.
I just don't think that. Here's what I think. I don't think that they really understand this drug very well. They admit that there's not been clinical trials on it, and now they want to make a bunch of rules for something that they have a fairly weak grasp on. And here we are, man.
Yeah.
It's a mess. It's a mess. Well, you know what's not a mess? Daniel, I know that we were living in a crazy time, and I don't need to tell you this, but it's always it's an honor whenever I get a chance to talk to you. And you had one of the best years of any fighter ever on record. I take my hat off to you. Congratulations. Get back to those kids who need your coaching, and thank you so much, and Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year, Luke. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. There he goes. One of the best to ever do it at the heavyweight division and light heavyweight division as well. The once two-time champ, but now the heavyweight champ of the world.